If I told the 8-year-old me that I got paid to sit around and talk football on a Sunday with 4 Hall of Famers, that kid would freak out. And so I try to appreciate that when I go in, no matter what. Look at the opportunity I had. If I weren't doing this, I'd want to do it. I'm blessed enough that I get to do it. So appreciate that. Smile, you know, take genuine pleasure out of it and appreciate every single moment of it. And again, I try to do that and I'm human, but I think by having that mindset, it allows me to be in that space the vast majority of the time.
You're about to hear an amazing interview that we just finished with Curt Menefee. Oh my goodness. This is a guy that many of you who follow sports, football in particular, would know on the most watched pregame show in America on Fox NFL Sunday. But what he gave us in this interview was so uplifting and so wonderful. And I felt that way when I met him in the studio in New York. And Connie, you just got to see and feel what I felt. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, for meeting someone like Curt, it's not his resume that makes him impressive. It's his presence. It's who he is as a human being. I mean, I felt like he was teaching a master class on heliotropic behavior. I mean, he caught every word we used. We talked about different, very specific behaviors and what it means to be somebody who works their very hardest at being their best selves. And he's not somebody who would ever have the kind of attitude that you maybe could expect from somebody famous. He just doesn't have it.
And what he gave us was why we asked him to be a guest. He was as humble as Connie's articulating. And the essence of be the sun, not the salt, is, as he articulated, it is to work on yourself. And through that, other people will experience your goodness and the world will be a better place. And he lays it on the line in no uncertain terms. Let's take a listen. Curt Menefee, it's so delightful that we are having you as a guest on our Be the Sun, Not the Salt podcast. We met a few months ago, and it was during that meeting that I was so moved by your understanding of this material. I asked you in that studio in New York, I said, would you be a guest on our podcast? And without hesitation, you said, of course, I would love to. And I am just so grateful and thankful that you agreed to this. And I want to introduce you to my co-host, Connie Fontaine, chief super spreader. And she too got how wonderfully heliotropic you are.
Well, I appreciate you making the ask. I was honored when you told me because I love the book and that's how we became connected. I've got stories about it because I've shared it with many other people as well since then. And it's really nice to meet you, Connie. I've seen your name
Thank you.
out there as well, but now we get a chance to meet in person.
We do. We do. And for those of us, I think most of us know you from your Fox Sunday show. I mean, one of the biggest pregame shows I think I've heard most watched in the last 3 decades. So I think I've got that fact right.
You
But
got
more
it.
importantly, I watch you as the calm in the chaos of live TV with a cast of characters that must be really a lot of fun and obviously some challenges along the way too with each other.
It's all of the above: chaotic, fun, challenges, but a lot of love. And I think that, we can get into it. That's why the show is so successful. We've been the #1 show for 32 straight years and more than other networks combined. All the stats don't really matter. The thing is that we genuinely care about one another. Our families are friends. And I think that love for one another is what makes it successful. Because one of the things that Dr. Cohen and I talked about is that by making other people better, I hate the cliche, a rising tide lifts all boats, but that's the truth. Like if you make your group better, it's going to be better as a unit. And that's really how it all works. I think that that's what happened on our show. And that's why we go places. People, at least to me, they never talk about football. They never go, oh, you guys did a great job of breaking down the cover 2 last week. It's like, oh, Terry said something, you guys busted his shot. Or someone had a grandkid and you guys welcome the kid and people can see the relationships. And I think that people love that.
They do.
I love that you said it, Curt. We do it. And I like boiling down the essence of truth to its tiniest form so that we can spread it. And you just did it. When I think about this podcast, I want to be able to send this podcast to as many people as possible with listen to this clip. So Curt just said it all and we haven't even gotten started. Yeah, it's all about the love. I can't say that because it sounds too squishy. you can say it and it's true. That love is palpable. That love is real. It's the whole kit and caboodle. And I'll stop talking, but the net of this is people can feel when you really care
Mhm.
about them.
Boom, for sure.
Well, and it's hard to do some days. I mean, you don't show up at the set every day feeling 150%, I'm sure. And yet you've got this need to demonstrate on live TV that love, that collaboration. How do you make sure that you can do that every day, or at least it shows up on TV that you do?
You know, I don't want to pretend that my life is puppy dogs and sunshine, because we
Right.
all have struggles that we have to go through. We all have, family issues, life issues that rain upon us. But I genuinely have a joy when I go to work each day. When I do Fox NFL Sunday, part of it is because I'm with a group of people that I care about and I know care about me. But we all have those days, and I think we're there to pick each other up on those days. And I think that
Right.
helps as well. It's one of the things when I remember, and I know I'm all over the place, so I apologize. But when I
No,
first
not
got married, talking to a friend who had been married for years, and I said, to me, one of the greatest things about it is that that you've got somebody who's got your back no matter what. You're in a good mood, you're in a bad mood, good things happen to you, bad things. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But knowing you've got that strength and that support allows you to be freer and to be a better person, I think. I have that at work. I've got a place where we have each other's back. If someone has a day where they're down, or someone has a day, you just, you screw things up. You're not perfect, those kinds of things. You don't worry about people trying to attack you or bring you down. They're doing the opposite. They're supporting you. So when I go to work, I have a genuine joy about it. But I also, and I know that it's one of the tenets of your book, I truly am appreciative of the opportunity that I have to go to work. And so much of this is going to be, like you said it in your book, because that's, I think, why we connected, is because our mindsets are very similar. But I do believe that, if you look at something and you appreciate it, and one of the things I learned years ago, and this is also in the book, is that if you go through life saying, I get to do this rather than I have to do this, it's amazing how it changes your mindset. Even if it's not the best thing in the world or you're having a rough day. But I always go, another thing, the 8-year-old me. If I told the 8-year-old me that I got paid to sit around and talk football on a Sunday with 4 Hall of Famers, that kid would freak out. And so I try to appreciate that when I go in, no matter what. Look at the opportunity I had. If I weren't doing this, I'd want to do it. I'm blessed enough that I get to do it. So appreciate that. Smile, take the genuine pleasure out of it and appreciate every single moment of it. And again, I try to do that, and I am human, but I think by having that mindset, it allows me to be in that space the vast majority of the time.
Can you think of a time where you've had to purposefully lift up a partner, or someone had to lift you up in those moments?
Yeah, I think, and I will say, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. I know I'm not. I wouldn't. But I know that, we have Jake Laser, who's on our show, who's our NFL
Mhm,
insider, and he's been very public about his struggles with mental health. And
mhm.
before he went public, I mean, I've known Jay, it's getting scary now, since 1995. So for 30 years, he
Yeah.
was best man at my wedding. I mean, so I've known Jay
Oh,
forever. And I know some of those days he would come in, and he's been public about this is why I'm willing to share it. But he'd come in days where, he's just sweating through his clothes or he's having these attacks. And
mhm.
I would just, try to spend time with him, doing the best I could in that moment to get him to a place where he could function, to get him to, because even though people that go through panic attacks or have other issues, they know that it's not real, but they can't control the chemistry of
Right.
it, the bodily functions. And so I would always try and spend time with him. And I think that is one example. But I go back to also when I first started, I remember the first Super Bowl that I did as host of the pregame show. And we were going to the stadium. And I knew the guys, I had been doing the show for a year. And I felt they had my back, but I felt it was important for them to know that I wasn't nervous because it was Super Bowl Sunday and not a regular football Sunday. I mean, it's 5 hours versus 1 hour. It's 150 million versus 20 million. So I remember going that whole day, and I started from the moment we got together that morning, and just not only telling jokes or just telling guys, hey, I got you here, and making sure that everybody was comfortable going into the situation, because I felt that that was part of my role, was to make them comfortable, not worrying that I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
I love that. The smallest things, Curt, one of the things that I'm so impressed by are those little things that we all do. You do too, those little tiny things. Hey, I'm going to try my best to try and lift up these people who might be nervous, period, for the reasons you articulated. I love that mindset, the get to instead of got to. Yesterday, I said to Connie, I wrote out in a text, I get to wash my dog YOLO because my dog had just rolled in poop and it was an opportunity to clean her. But that little shift made her chuckle, me chuckle, and lighten the mood. That's the mindset that we want more people, 150 million people, to go, wow, I could adopt that mindset. I could take a page from Curt's book, be this book, our book, your book, the book, and go, I could do that. That's what I want more people to get, Curt.
Because so much of it is about the mindset. You know, it's the mind controls so much and about your emotions and your feelings. And the reality is still there, but it's about how you approach it and about how you act upon it. And you can control that with your mind. And, you know, again, not someone who has people looking down or being depressed or whatever. But I mean, one of the things is we had our dog, Addie, 16 years old. We had to put her down this year, put her to sleep. No, but she lived a great life. She was, until like the last week or so, she was still hiking and doing those kinds of things. And those are the things that as she got older in particular, you thought about, hey, I get to take her for a hike. I get to go do this because you know it's not going to last forever. And now that we're on the other side, you look back at those and you go, I'm so glad that I did those things. I'm so glad that I had that opportunity. And I'm so glad that I appreciated it rather than going, oh my God, it's dark outside. The dog's got to get up and go out and there. Yeah, there's a part of you that does that inside, but you go, okay, this is the window I've got to do this. Let me enjoy it. Let me appreciate it. Because someday I'll look back on it and be happy about it.
Yep. Well, it's funny. I said to Harry yesterday, I am so excited that we get to talk to Curt Menefee, like somebody I think of as like a real He-Man, someone that all the guys will look at and say, he's talking about this stuff. He's talking about being the son. And you mentioned Jay Glazer. I think he's done a service to all humans, being as open and warm as he's been about his own struggles. Because how many people now can talk about it? If Jay can do it, I can do it. And you're doing the same thing for us in this entire floating idea of just be the best you can be every day. We work at it. We all do.
And you were saying you gave the book and you had some stories. I'd love to hear those stories and how you've utilized it, because you already knew it long before you and I met.
Right. And now I get to share it with other people because it's a message that you try to do it verbally, but people hear things different ways at different times because you don't know what they're going through that day. And so being able to sit down with the book in their own time, and the perfect example happened just this past Sunday. So we have a young lady on the staff that we all work with at Fox NFL Sunday. And after Dr. Cohen was on the show, I told several people about the book and everything. I got her the book just because I know she's a generally positive person, good mind space, all that kind of stuff. And I say, you'll really enjoy this. So that was this summer. And I saw her on Sunday. I see her every week, but I saw her on Sunday. And I go, oh, how was your week? She goes, I kind of had one of those weeks. She goes, but you know what? I read the book, Be the Sun, Not the Salt. And she goes, it's so weird that you gave that to me months ago. And I didn't have time. Summer, you get busy and these kind of things. And I was having one of those weeks and I picked up the book and she goes, it took me no time to read it. She goes, but it put me in such a good space. And she goes, maybe it was meant that I was not supposed to read that then, but when I was in this point where I kind of needed it. And I'm like, that's your sales pitch right there. That's the perfect example of what this book can do for you, is someone who's already got maybe that disposition, but is in one of those spaces where you needed a little pick-me-up, a little reminder of who she is and the things she can do and the influence that she can have on other people. And this kickstarted her right away, and it put her in such a good space, and she was very appreciative of having waited to read it.
Yeah, we call them nudgy reminders, right? And this is like a little book that can sit on your nightstand, your coffee table. Harry likes to say in the bathroom. I usually don't say that, but it's in that right place when you need it for a little pick-me-up. And each chapter is going to catch you at a different day, depending on what you're going through.
Yep. And you can go back to even the ones that hit you a certain way. Sometimes it's a good refresher course, if you will. Or just a reminder.
So Curt, I wrote the damn book and I couldn't remember what chapter it is. And every morning for the last couple of years, I've been reading today's chapter 4, today is the 14th because I happened to look at it this morning and it's don't be a complexifier, keep it simple. And I sent a little note out to a bunch of people. I'm interviewing Curt Menefee on our podcast. I want to keep it simple. Curt, in the simplest way, when you're trying to tell somebody, what's this about? Curt, what would you say?
I think it's about being the best you by helping other people be the best them.
Ta-da. That's all. We're done. Mic drop. We're done.
Don't end it yet.
I know but Curt, that's the whole freaking point. And I love that you both get it, can articulate it, and most importantly, live it. I was telling Connie that he made me feel so good. I get to be on these TV interviews a bunch, and depending on where you wind up and what city and whatever, people make you feel either like good, bad, or great. And you made me feel great. And those tiniest ways, you're welcome. The way you treated people around you, the way you conducted your life, the way that you thought about giving the book to a colleague, hey, you might find this helpful, and then months later the seed sprouts. I just love that and want more people to listen, watch, and be inspired, because I want to be inspired to do that more. Literally keep my eyes peeled for where the seed can be useful. Hey, you might appreciate this for what it's worth. Boom, leave it, let it grow. So again, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Well, you've already done the work by putting the book out there and putting it into the universe. It's up to the rest of us to help spread it.
Yeah. Well, I told him maybe you gave the book to Mike Tirico. I don't know if you heard this in the end of the well, I'll tell you why. Not because Mike Tirico needs it. I'm just saying he used a term in the Lions game did not end the way us Lions fans would have liked that to end Sunday. And as the conclusion and that chaos was happening on the field, Mike Tirico said something like, "That was a salty ending to that game." And I think I am pretty sure Andy Reid repurposed his line in his post game. So we were joking around that maybe Curt's out spreading this already. I don't know.
I'm spreading what I haven't given it to Mike. I will.
Okay.
Here's a story this morning that you guys don't know, Con. I was talking to Carl. He's one of the endorsers on the book and one of the reasons that we're here. And I was saying we're going to be talking to Curt, and then we got talking about the Eagles and the Lions. He's a diehard Eagles fan, and I'm a diehard Lions fan. And he said, this is the best part. He said, I got to give your coach credit, Dan Campbell. I really like the way he did that press conference. And his point was, Dan got up there and owned, this is inappropriate behavior by player X. I want to apologize. That's not who we are and who we want to be. And my friend Carl, who's an Eagles fan, made a point of saying he was being the son. And he was really demonstrating what it means to be the son as a leader and as a coach and as a role model for all of us. Well, I just appreciate that we can see this in action. And I want to be that guy who apologizes when I need to apologize and, lift up my brothers and sisters when I can. So anyway.
And also, I mean, using that as an example, I think that you could argue that not only is he being the son in the moment from a team standpoint, but Brian Branch is the player who,
right.
We'll find out if he's officially suspended or not, but who got into the fight. But he's helping him out. He's trying to help him be a better person. You screwed up. You made a mistake. This is not the way to handle it. All right?
Oh, I love it. You're right. And he started
on,
by saying, that's right.
Yeah. From this point on, you'll grow from it. Hopefully, you'll learn from it. So rather than just ignoring it and pretending it doesn't happen, or we see people that get into that my team mentality, and it's like, hey, I got his back. They did something to him, and screw them. It's like, nope, this is not how you're going to grow, and this is not how we're going to succeed as a team. We have to admit it. We have to, acknowledge it, and then move forward. How do we move forward together? And I think that's a big part of it as well.
And I want to be learning from everyone that I can see. Both, I want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. And I can learn, to your point, from anybody and everybody. What's the lesson? What's the moral of that story? You just brought up a beautiful one. It wasn't just for him and for the team and for the organization. It was also a teaching to the young man and to all young men or people like, it's not okay. And I told him about it. That's not going to happen, on and on. I love that as a teaching leadership example. We always wanted exemplars on this podcast. so that we can be better. I want to be that guy. I'm going to be the Brian Branch, and I want to be the Dan Campbell, you know?
Mhm.
In this case, I want to be the Curt Menefee, living it and spreading it. You were saying, I love that, dude. I love that. So Connie, you had another, we were talking earlier. Do you have another question for Curt?
Well, I just had a couple of things. So I did just in doing some research that we always do, of course, with a new guest is what I didn't know you wrote a book. So I have to just admit that. So it's in my cart on Amazon. So my husband's getting it for Christmas. Don't tell him. Because he loves that whole theme. And the theme was really about resiliency. And I felt like it was very much about being heliotropic in the moment and the ability for athletes. You'll learn, just like Branch learned his lesson, hopefully, as an athlete, how you react to defeat, how you react. You said something, I think one of the quotes was, it's not about the score, it's about the response. There was a really nice little line in the book about that. I wanted to just hear your thoughts about sports and athletes themselves and how they respond.
Yeah, I wrote the book, Losing Isn't Everything. It's, how takes a while to write a book. So I'm trying to think. It came out in 2016. So I can tell you, it came out in November 2016, the week before the presidential election. So I'll always remember that. But the whole thing is I've been an advocate of, remember the book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten? I think everything I needed to know I learned in sports, because I think sports teaches you how to deal with success. It teaches you how to deal with adversity. It teaches you how to be a teammate, how to not be the lead dog all the time. I mean, there's so many lessons that come by being in the world of sports. And the premise of this book was to take people that have been involved in monumental losses in sport, things that we always remember, Olympics, World Series, Super Bowls, on plays that when you mention, you think of this person and you think of them being on the wrong end of it. And I want to know, usually when you're in professional sports, you're in your 20s, maybe 30s, you've got another 40, 50 years of your life with people seeing you in that way. How have you dealt with it? Because what you learned in that moment and how to deal with it and how to respond to it, I think transfers into everything in life. People go through divorces, people lose loved ones, people, have financial issues, and they've got to find a way to overcome it. They lose their job. So what lesson can I learn from someone else about being resilient, about how to bounce back from adversity? Because sometimes things happen and it gets off the rails. It gets way off the rail, but you got to find a way to get back on to continue your life. And some of the people were examples of that. They had drug issues, they had issues of going to jail, thought about suicide, divorces, those kind of things, but they got themselves back together. And I wanted to see how, what were the lessons to get yourself back together? What did you do? How did you approach it? And some had no issues with it. And most of those said they dealt with whatever the situation was, the loss, whatever their part was, right away. And I think that's a big part of it. The sooner you can deal with whatever the issue is, whatever the problem is, the faster you're going to be able to heal and move forward. If you let it linger or you try to pretend it didn't happen, it still happened. It's going to be there. Yeah. You've got to address it and deal with it somehow.
I love that. Man, I just love wisdom. I love wisdom wherever I can hear it and feel it. So when I think about you, Curt, I think about you on a platform with a huge audience. I mean, a lot of people listen to you. And with that platform, my wish and hope is that you keep being who you are, which that ain't going to change. But at some point, you will help this truth, these truths, plural, to become part of the zeitgeist. One day I'm going to watch you and hear you say, hey, I'm just trying to be the sun and not the salt. And I'll go, no, it's now in the cultural zeitgeist. People are using it, they understand what it means, not complicated, they don't have to do any, they don't have to read the book, they don't have to do anything. They just have to know, oh, that's right. I was salty and I don't need to be. I know what it means to be my best self, and I'm going to try and do that. So I so appreciate the opportunity. I'm grateful for this conversation with a person who has a platform. And, we're going to keep on shouting it from the rooftops. You got a larger megaphone, so I don't mind asking you, keep shouting it.
I
For
will.
for all the right
I think
reasons, right? It's like, who wouldn't wanna live in a neighborhood where everyone is working at being the sun, not the salt? Who wouldn't wanna work in a community of people like you already do, who
Yes.
Mhm.
love each other, who are good humans and wanna lift each other up? So, I think it's with all the right, reasons we look for, ways to shout this platform, and we don't reach men very well. It's the interesting thing. I said to Harry, I wanted to say, "Gosh, why how come guys like Curt Menefee have no problems talking about this?" Guys like Jay, he's out there in this very public way about things he struggles with, and yet we haven't found that way to really reach
Yeah.
yet. And we just keep working on it. So if you have any advice
That's a
on
good.
that,
You just keep working at. I think that so much of it has to be who you are,
Yeah.
because
All
you
yeah.
you got to live it. It's got to be
Mhm.
genuine when you say it, because that's when it resonates with people. People
That's right.
don't want to be lectured to. They don't want to be told,
Right.
well, hey, I- this is what the old cliche when you're a kid, do as I say, not as I do. People don't want that.
Yeah.
They
Right.
want to see you live, and we
Right.
live in a world of authenticity, probably in good and bad
Yeah.
ways, more than we ever
That's
have.
Yeah.
right.
And that's what I think a lot of people crave. So if you live it on a day-to-day basis, then just as part of your conversation, it comes out. Well, people see it in the way you carry yourself, then they get it. But if you go, okay,
Mhm.
I've got a speech for you, and I'm going to tell you how to live your life, people are like,
Doesn't work.
here's another one, right? And
Yep.
they figure you out,
Yeah.
and I think that that's the best way to continue to spread the message, because people will see it.
Mhm.
I mean, we've all been around people, and you just go, man, being around that person makes me feel good. Sometimes you don't even know
Mhm.
what. It's like just being around that person makes me feel good. And we
Yep.
also have those people in our lives, or knock on wood, hopefully not too long, but that do it the other
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
Right.
I can't stand going
Right.
over that person because they're always negative, or there's always a
Mhm.
cloud hanging over there. So
Yep.
it is about who you are and how you carry yourself. And I think that
Mhm.
by carrying yourself like the sun, then you will help spread the
Mhm.
message.
That's right. And
That
people it starts to rub off. I mean, we've
Mhm.
all seen that, just with
Yep.
kindness in general. And you mentioned this, I think, when you did the little summation of what it means to you. Is this about being our best version of ourselves as often as much as we can? And I think, Harry, we talk about it all the time. We all screw up. I mean, there's no way you can be perfect at this. We don't
Right.
know a single soul who's perfect at this. And so it's about learning to catch yourself. It's learning to practice it every day as often as you can in the store, at the gas pump, wherever you may be, working to be your very best version of yourself.
Yeah. And by
and
doing that, you spread the sunshine. But, I think
Yep.
one of the things that I don't know if we have talked about here, as you try and help yourself become a better version of yourself by helping other people become a better version of them, is also
Mhm.
understanding that they have crappy days too. Like in
Right.
some days you go, and I don't care, it could be go get a cup of coffee, and you go, wow, the
yeah.
Right.
person that served me, they didn't give me that smile that they're supposed to, and go, how's your day? Well, you know what? Maybe you don't know. Maybe their a loved one just died in their life, and they're just trying
Yep.
to get through the day the best they can. And sometimes you have to give other people grace, even if they don't explain it to you, because it may not be for you to know in that moment. As
Yep.
long as it doesn't happen consistently. If you keep going to the same place and they're like that all the time, then it's a different issue. But if
Mhm.
one-offs happen, man, or sometimes people just, I'll tell my wife a lot, and my wife is the greatest person. Don't get me wrong, so I don't mean this. But I'll just go sometimes. Like, remember, it's not always about you. You see, sometimes people are just focused on their little world, and you
Yeah.
are just kind of there, and they don't
Mhm.
mean to dismiss you. They don't mean to be mean to you or whatever. You're just not
Right.
even on their radar. They may, if you walked out and came back in, they may not remember you were there 3 minutes ago,
Right.
because you're just
Yeah.
not in their purview at that moment. So don't take
Mhm.
everything personal. I don't think that people are intentionally acting a certain way towards you, but also give them a little grace. And I think that will not only make them happier or make them go, wow, I lashed out when I probably shouldn't have because I was in a bad mood. They don't feel as
Mhm.
bad. But also, I think it will help you just kind of understand the world in your place in the world sometime. Just go, okay, I feel better about myself because I didn't get mad at that person getting mad, you know?
I love
Well,
that.
every time you give those nuggets of wisdom, I want to go, yeah, listen to
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What he said.
Yeah. What he
Yeah.
said. Do more of
Mhm.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so as I was listening to you, I'm going, man, oh man, oh man, that is our collective work. which is, cut people some slack, try the best as we can, recognize it ain't all about me, listen to your wife,
Yeah.
and then, do the next right thing after you screw up, on and on and on. Boy, oh boy, it was really encouraging because we're all singing from the same song sheet. We're all saying the same thing. Isn't it great? Yeah. And so I don't want to lament. And so, yeah, but what about them? You know what? I don't know about them. We got enough to do. We got plenty to work on with ourselves. All the little people that we run into. I mean, it's just so easy and great. And a friend of mine once said, this stuff is so easy, it's easy to not do. So here's one that I was wondering, and you're a rare one in this regard, but maybe not so rare. Because you're big time celebrity, you could fall victim to do you know who I am disease. And you don't have any of that. You have no do you know who I am virus. It was nothing around you. Are you just lucky in that regard, or how come?
First of all, because I think you're a jerk if you go, do you know who I am? I mean, that's the honest answer, and I don't want to be a jerk. I think I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by people that are 8 million times bigger than I am, and they don't act that way. So if they don't act that way, what excuse do I have? But I think part of it goes back to what we talked about earlier about just being appreciative. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I meditate daily. I say prayers, but I think that's kind of the category I put myself in. But I do very often have the phrase in my head that I will say, "Never for the grace of God go I." And I know how easily things that are beyond our control. I always say 2 things you cannot control is where you're born and who you're born to. Okay, I've got no control over that. So I was fortunate enough. We struggled when I was a kid, single mother, public assistance, all that stuff. But I was born in a place and to a mother that allowed me to grow up and be the person that I am. I could have grown up in a situation where I could be in a third world country where you have zero opportunity to do anything. You could grow up in a situation where, household can't sustain you having any success, for whatever reason, because of drugs or poverty or other things, that you've got no control over that. So I see things on a daily basis. And it's not having pity on people, but it's realizing I'm blessed that I'm not in that same situation. When you pass someone who is unhoused on the street, that could easily be me. I mean, it honestly could. And so to go that I'm better than that person, no, I'm more fortunate than that person. And that's the difference. So that's why I don't believe in that, do you know who I am? It's like, okay, I happen to have a job. I work on television, but there are people that are saving lives. My wife's a registered nurse. She worked in the ER for a while. Her mother was an ER nurse forever. Those are the people that are making a difference. Those are the people you should know who they are, not someone who's just giving football scores on television. And so I can't tell you how often I say that. And again, I don't mean it in a demeaning way. But I see people in situations, and I just know that I am so blessed that that's not me, because I could easily just be there for anything that I can't control, that's beyond my control. So a lot of these things happen to you that you go, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and chose me for whatever reason.
I just love that, man. It's speak fluent gratitude. It's what we talk about. You are so grateful, and express your appreciation and gratitude for all that you have, not what you don't have. And that's the answer to my question, which is, when you're like this, well, my mother taught me, I grew up like this. And luckily I've been surrounded by people who remind me, wait a minute, I'm nobody.
I know where my belly, I always say, I know where my belly button is. Yep.
That's right.
Exactly. It's a good way to put it.
You know where you came from.
Dude. So, I mean, my cup runneth over. I could just continually express my gratitude to you, but I want to give you or Connie the opportunity to say or ask anything at all. Imagine there's 150 million people listening to this wisdom. Is there anything that we haven't shared with them that we think would be helpful to them, to have them go, oh, yeah, that's good. I don't know. I'm really just I wanted to leave no stone unturned to be the most helpful for the most people.
Curt, can you think of anything?
Yeah, I think maybe part of it kind of goes back to the last point we were making, that there, but for the grace of God go I. I think we could spend a lot more time putting ourselves in other people's position.
There you
I
go.
think if you learn to see the world from someone else's perspective, even though you may not understand everything about it or the reason they got to where they are or what they're dealing with on that day, but just understand sometimes that maybe they need a little bit of love or a little bit of grace, or a little bit of understanding.
Love that.
And just put yourself in that position. Go, if I were there, well, how would I want people to react to me?
Right.
What would I want people to know? What would I want them to understand? Maybe I don't want to tell them anything, but I'm dealing with stuff. And maybe if you understood that from another person's perspective a little bit more, we'd all be better people.
That curiosity of, rather than judgment. And I think that's what someone like you, it just exudes from you. And I think those are the qualities that for those of us that haven't quite figured that out, let's do more of that, because the more we are curious about why people are the way they are or what the situation they're in, instead of judgmental about it, I think the nicer we'll all be.
Yeah.
That should be the next book, Curiosity Over Judgment. I like that.
I love
Curiosity over
that.
judgment. And, like when we asked you that and you thought about it, beautiful. Try and walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Try and be more curious and less judgmental. Those are heliotropic, be the sun qualities that everybody could do better at. Thank you, Curt, for being a model and being brave enough, courageous enough to say, this is what I think is most important. And I love that you have the stones to say it explicitly, the wisdom to put it out there. And let's hope 150 million people go, I'm going to do that. Seriously, the world is
Yeah,
better place.
biggest episode ever for sure. But yeah,
We'll start with 150 and then we'll get to 8 billion. We'll be fine.
I'll take a million. I'll take a million, but we'll go from there. That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think for us, Curt, you have all the reasons in the world. You're on live TV. It's a fast-paced situation. You are who you are. There's the success already. And you still choose to be the best version of yourself. It kind of says to everybody, there is no excuse. We're all working to be our very best selves.
I don't know if I use there is no excuse. I'd go, it's possible. I think that's how I would look at it.
Well,
like that better.
More positive. It's possible. It's possible. What a great way to let, we could title this, It's Possible. This whole thing. It's possible. No matter where you are, who you are, whenever you are, you can make a difference. You can make it happen. You made this. I asked you, you said yes. Boom shakalaka. That's not easy to do. A lot of people ask and they go, yeah, no, check with my publicist, find out.
It's my busy season. Yeah, well, it's Curt Menefee's busy season too.
That's the,
I'm not trying to pretend I'm perfect. I mean, look, I am.
Oh, none of us are.
Days where I go, oh boy, I wish I hadn't done that, but we all have that, but I try to limit those.
I know.
Well, that's what we're here to do. Limit them and then make it better when we do it.
There we go.
I love it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I will, I'll try and stay in touch with you somehow, some way.
Please do.
Give Mike
Gardner
Tirico
told me to say hi to you too.
So Devin is one of my mentees. I knew him when he was a pup.
Yes, that's what he told me.
Yeah.
Small world.
He says, what's this old guy taking an interest in me for?
Hey, solid people can tend to find one another one way or another, right?
Very true. Very true.
Beautiful human being. I love that you know him, and let's watch his beautiful career take off.
Continue to flourish.
Just the beginning.
Just
right.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share the message, and thank you for sharing it in the book.
All right, brother.
Let's
got us together. Please. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Connor.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.